Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2010 Aston Martin 177. Now this was fully revealed at the 2009 Geneva Motor Show, and it was produced between 2009 and 2012 with 77 cars being made, which is where the 177 name comes from, though that name is slightly redundant now since one of them got written off in Hong Kong in 2012 by some absolute moron. So yeah, there's only 76 that are in existence at this time. But still, nonetheless, that just makes it even rarer, and yeah, it's easily one of the most rare Aston Martins ever made. And yeah, it's justifiably so, because this is easily one of the most extreme Aston Martins ever made as well, as it has a full carbon fibre monocoque chassis, a handcrafted aluminium body, both of which help in terms of keeping the weight down. Also has carbon ceramic matrix brakes, height adjustable pushrod suspension, and a 6-speed automated manual transmission, which has been nicked from a DB9 but has been uprated to deal with the much larger engine and massive increase in power over a DB9. So yeah, all those elements do help make this car a really good handling vehicle. And yeah, despite the fact that it's quite a large vehicle with a really rather lush interior, it's hardly a stripped out racer. This vehicle only weighs 3,307 pounds. So yeah, despite all this hand-stitched leather, the aluminium buttons and the silver and the really rather nice appointed interior in general and the really rather nice comfy looking seats, it's yeah still quite a lightweight vehicle despite being such a large vehicle in its own right. And yeah, also weighs that little despite the fact that it has a really rather large engine at 7.3 litres V12. Produces 750 horsepower and 553 pounds-feet of torque, which is a huge amount. Now granted, it's not the most powerful Aston Martin ever made, as the Vulcan takes that crown, but it is the most powerful road legal car Aston Martin has ever made, while also having the largest engine that any Aston Martin that is road legal has been made as well. So yeah, because even the Vulcan with its extra power doesn't have such a large engine. And yeah, at the time it was also the most powerful naturally aspirated engine as well, beating the likes of a Ferrari 599 GTO, which was also released at this time, which has about 90 horsepower less than this. So yeah, pretty formidable engine, and yeah, I do really rather like the looks. Granted, you could just say it's just a widened, extra bodied work DB9 or a DBS, but yeah, still looks pretty formidable, and all the extra aerodynamic parts are there to help keep the car on the ground and keep it going as fast as possible. Does have a spoiler that comes up at a certain rate of speed and then will reduce when it gets above a certain rate of speed, so it can achieve its maximum top speed. And yeah, no boot at all because it's all full of suspension. As you can see, there's the adjustable pushrod suspension there. So yeah, not very practical. The 599 GTO is a bit more practical because it does have a boot, but yeah, this looks better, has more power, and yeah, a much larger, more impressive engine as well to go with it. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see just what this car can do. So yeah, at a cost of 1.15 million each, you're unlikely to see this car out on the open road, because yeah, obviously only 76 are in existence anymore, and yeah, most people that own these kind of cars rarely ever drive them, which is a big shame because this car is a proper driver's car. Even though it does have a lot of GT elements to it, it is essentially Aston Martin's first attempt at a supercar, because yeah, it is ferociously fast and yeah, handles beautifully as well. Now granted, it's not quite as good in terms of handling as a Ferrari 599 GTO, but it's a lot easier to drive because that car is quite tricky at times, especially considering it weighs more than this. So yeah, it's a pretty formidable car, and yeah, it's easily one of my favourite Aston Martins in terms of modern ones. Certainly shows what Aston Martin can do, and I'm certainly not showing what they can do with my poor driving, but yeah, it is a really good car, and yeah, the acceleration is proof of that. 0 to 16, 3.5 seconds, 0 to 100 in 6.9 seconds, and it going to a top speed of 211 miles an hour. Now granted, that 0 to 60 time and top speed isn't quite as good as a GTO, but it is quicker to 100, and at the end of the day I'm not really bothered because this car has a far better sounding engine, looks a lot better as well, and yeah, it's just more enjoyable to drive because it doesn't feel quite as on the edge all the time as the GTO does. And yeah, that's a lot more, you know, race orientated than this. This is yeah, a GT car that's, you know, just got a lot more power from a far bigger engine and just goes a lot quicker as well. But keeps that GT element that Aston Martin has had for plenty of their cars to keep it a a convenient car outside of no boot and a more relaxing cruiser when it needs to be, rather than turned up to 11 all of the time. Because even though this does have a hell of a lot of horsepower, easily one of the most powerful cars back in the day, it's still something that you could enjoy every day if you so wish. But like I said, people that own these kind of things rarely drive them because it's more of an investment than anything, unfortunately. But yeah, it certainly deserves to be driven because it is a driver's car at the end of the day. So yeah, you might be wondering why I've been reviewing these random cars as of late, and it's basically because I have a huge list that I have collated over the course of many weeks to find all the cars that I feel are worthy of a review. Sorry, either because I really like the car or just because I think it's an important car in its own right. So yeah, there will be several more reviews to come because there are plenty to review. Now granted, there's only one proviso with the cars that I review, and that is that the engine bay is viewable. Now granted, not every car does have an engine bay that is viewable because you don't have one at all, like a Rimac, but that's just because that's an electric car. Now, that's not going to be the case for every car, so yeah, any car that has an engine that is viewable is a car that I will review if I deem it worthy enough. So that's the only restriction. If you wish to recommend one to me, which I am fully open to, as I may have missed one or two cars on my list that are fully viewable, either with the engine bay or with the engine bay as well as like the boot. So yeah, get recommending if you so wish, because I would love to find cars that I have not thought of or never deemed worthy enough on a first glance. So yeah, if you've got any recommendations, I'm happy to those recommendations, and yeah, we'll give them a full review of themselves if I wish to do so. So yeah, if you haven't got this car, then I highly recommend getting it. It doesn't cost all that much considering the amount of power, acceleration and speed that it has on the go, never mind how good it actually looks. So yeah, highly recommend getting it if you've never driven it before, as it's easily one of Aston Martin's best and easily one of the best post 2010 supercars. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.